Now, the Minister in the Presidency and the chairperson of the National Development Commission, Mondli Gungubele, says a lack of state capacity and understanding is partly to blame for the slow progress in implementing the National Development Plan. The NDP is meant to be government's action plan to address issues such as unemployment, poverty, inequality, safety, education and healthcare. Well, let's speak now to Professor Tinyiko Maluleke, who is one of the new members of the National Development Commission. I understand, in fact, he's the deputy chair of the National Development Commission. Good afternoon, sir. Thank you very much for your time. You had a meeting, I think, just the other day, if not yesterday. Correct me if I'm wrong. How did it go?
We had a press conference rather than a meeting. I hope that you are able to hear me. There is a bit of a delay. The press conference was intended mainly to introduce the new planning commission and also to make known what some of our priorities are going to be going forward. And as far as that is concerned, I think that was done very well.
Okay, and belatedly, congratulations on your appointment as the Deputy National Chairperson of the National Development Commission. But the new commission is taking over at a very difficult time, if I may say so. I mean, the targets that were set by the NDP so many years ago, far from being achieved. Then we've had the coronavirus pandemic. Now we are living with the after effects of the Russia-Ukraine war, just as another example. It's not an easy time to be in this commission as you review and start plotting what will be the best way forward.
Yes, we have seen better times as a country. We have just been through a very difficult 2-year period with COVID-19. But more than COVID-19, it has been a period of negative economic growth, and that has contributed immensely to a further slowing down of progress with the goals of the National Development Plan or the achievement of those goals. The correct name, Braden, is National Planning Commission. And of course, the National Development Plan is our blueprint. That is really what we exist to facilitate the achievement of the National Development Plan as the NPC. So it has been a difficult time, but the only thing worse than where we find ourselves now would be to find ourselves in a situation where we don't have a plan, where we don't have a clue as to what it is we ought to be aiming at, how far we are from achieving it. Now, this plan is very useful because, for one thing, it helps us understand what needs to be done and how far away we are from achieving it, so that together with government and with the citizens of the country, we can find our way back to the course that we have set for ourselves as a country towards 2030. And that course is defined by the big goals that we have around poverty alleviation, as you rightly said, around climate change, around economic development, and many other issues that are listed there as the goals that we have set for ourselves as a nation.
Is it still a plan? Is it still valid? I mean, do you anticipate there'll be lots of major tweaks? Because time-wise, I mean, 2030 is not far away. We haven't met the targets. Are we going to see some shifting of the goalposts?
I doubt if we need to shift goalposts. The idea about a long-term plan, Braden, is that what you do with a long-term plan is that you decide what are the big things you want to achieve as a nation. And those big things like prosperity, development, access to universal internet, the goals around education, those are not going to change because they are big enough for you to identify them as the goals you want to achieve in 10, 15, or even 20 years. So I don't expect that we will change the goals, but what we may want to tweak is perhaps the kind of things we have put in place to assist us towards achieving them. So, for example, the pace of achievement, the locked jams, the lack of coordination within government and between government departments that we have led to the delay. And of course, assisting the state in prioritizing those goals that need to be achieved quicker than others so that other goals can also be achieved. So that's the sort of thing, that's the sort of tweaking that may need to be done. But I don't think that we need to change the big long-term plans that we have set for ourselves as a country.
Okay, you mentioned to me there with a smile on your face a while ago that this is a national planning commission and its vision is a national development plan. But from what you are saying, it's all about implementation, isn't it? Should we see a more vigorous focus on implementation?
Yeah, certainly. The last planning commission, just before we were appointed, had already identified implementation as an important focus. It is not for us as the National Planning Commission to implement the plan. We don't have the wherewithal to be implementers. Our main mandate is to facilitate planning, to assist government in planning, but also to assist them in removing whatever hurdles that there may be to the implementation of the plan through the expertise that we bring to the table, through our ability to convene government departments and other players and bring them to the table for further discussion, but also to call them to account when necessary. So we don't do the implementation ourselves, but it will be futile for us to keep on planning if implementation is weak or slow and we do nothing about that. So we have to focus on implementation, but not that we do it ourselves, but we go to government and say, how can we help you implement this plan? And we mobilize the citizens of the country to demand implementation and also to make themselves available in assisting government to make sure that this plan is implemented, because otherwise the plan becomes a promise that is not being fulfilled.
Do you promise, as the new National Planning Commission, to really hold government to account in terms of implementation going forward during your term?
When you say, do you promise, I feel like putting my hand here and holding that black book and saying, I hereby promise.
You can if you wish to, but it's a serious question, I understand. But I just want to say, because of what you've said, that yes, it's not for you to implement, but it's to assist them in the planning and hold them to account. So I want to know if you as a commission and you as the deputy chair of the commission coming in now, do you promise that you will indeed hold them to account in terms of implementation of the plan?
If this commission achieves nothing else, it has to achieve two things. One of them is to hold government to account and to put it in the face of government how far we have veered away from the plan in as many different ways as possible. If there is another thing that this commission must be able to do, it is to be truthful. Truthful with government and truthful with South African citizens, so that we are able to say to them, we are not achieving. We ought to be here or there and not here. And then to say, how can we assist you as an independent think tank that the Planning Commission is? How can we work with you? How can we assist you to implement these goals? But we are an independent think tank. So part of our responsibility is to be honest with government and to hold them to account. And I can promise you that that is probably one of the things you can be sure we will be able to achieve.
Professor Tinyiko Maluleke, the new Deputy National Chairperson of the National Planning Commission, whose vision is the National Development Plan, talking to us there after that media briefing that took place a little bit earlier about the way forward. Well, there you have it. There is a promise there. We will watch and observe and, of course, question as time goes on.